Welcome to the No Spin News for March 20th, Wednesday, 2024. Stand up for your country. Here are two facts, all right? You can write them down if you want because they're important. Since President Biden has been in office, gasoline prices are up 48% on average across the country. 48%. Since President Biden has been in office, this is the second point, food prices at the grocery stores are up an average of 23%, more in the restaurants. So just those two things alone should say, hey, Joe Biden, we'll see you around after one term. But of course, that's not happening. The race is tight because of our polarized country. And then there is the open border and the problems that stem from it. That's the subject of this evening's Talking Points Memo. So every day bad things happen because of the open border. The latest is that U.S. District Court Judge Sharon Coleman in Illinois, federal judge, has dismissed firearm possession charges against an illegal migrant, Alberto Calabral Flores. So Mr. Flores was arrested in a suburb of Chicago in 2020 during the riots with a handgun that he had not a license to carry. And he was charged in federal court, federal crime, okay, because of the immigration status. So 4 years later, he finally gets some kind of resolution. The judge throws it out, the whole case. Now, to be fair, and we are always fair, all right, the man had no criminal record, Flores, no criminal record, says he was holding the gun because of the riots and he felt threatened. It was for personal security. But nevertheless, he was not entitled to walk around with the gun. Now, here's the real interesting part of this story. The judge, Sharon Coleman, was appointed by Barack Obama. She is a flaming liberal judge, yet she is kind of upholding the Second Amendment here, but she's really not. So this is where it really takes a wind. So in the past, the Seventh Circuit has ruled, federal court, so long as an undocumented immigrant in the United States has developed a substantial connection with the country, the Second Amendment confers to them a right to bear arms. That's not in the Constitution. That's just a federal interpretation, a court's interpretation. She used that, this judge. But what she's really doing is giving the middle finger to gun advocates, to Second Amendment advocates, saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to dismiss all of these charges because under the Constitution, it's murky. Some constitutional rights apply if you sneak into this country illegally, like due process. But others don't. You can't vote, right? Legal aliens can't vote. So it's not like the Constitution, as soon as you get here, you have all the rights. You don't. But this is a political play here. I thought it was just fascinating. And so Flores gets to stay in the country. Nobody's going to bother him. If he wants to walk around with a gun without a permit, I guess he can do it. SB 4 immigration law in Texas. You remember we covered this last few days. It's Texas authorities can arrest migrants, and judges in Texas, state judges, can deport them. Well, it's, as I predicted, it's stayed again. Okay, so the New Orleans-based 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals stopped it last night. We knew that was going to happen. Eventually, this is going to go around to the Supreme Court for a full hearing. So as we reported yesterday, Supreme Court said, we're not going to block it. This happened yesterday. Supreme Court said, we're not going to block it. Throwing it back to the lower federal courts, and immediately the New Orleans federal court, which covers the district, okay, blocked it. In the end, Texas is not going to be able to arrest, try and deport illegal aliens, clear in the Constitution that is a federal authority. Impeachment hearing today. This is devolving quickly, which is bad news for the people who believe that Joe Biden committed a crime by taking money from his son and brother that was sent to them for no reason by foreign enterprises. I mean, it's a grift. Everybody knows it's a grift. But this is all about Biden taking direct money or indirect. I mean, if they painted his house for free, that kind of thing. So two people showed up, Tony Bobulinski and Jason Galanis, and both were associated with Hunter Biden's business enterprises. Now, Galanis had to testify from a federal prison where he's serving a 14-year sentence for defrauding an American Indian tribe. So this is a sweetheart kind of guy that Hunter was in business with, right? So he testifies in front of the committee from a federal penitentiary where he's serving 14. It's bizarre. Bobulinski we've heard from before. Okay, he says that Joe Biden, the president of the United States, derived money from his son and brother. Not more than that. I mean, that's what Bobulinski says. All right? Okay. But this thing doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Now, I'm not rooting one way or the other, as, you know, the partisans believe what they want to believe. People who like Biden believe it's not true. The people who hate Biden believe it is true. I'm not in either of those categories. I'd like to know. I do believe that Joe Biden helped his brother and son amass that money. I believe he knew every step of the way what was happening. That's patronage. That's, you know, I don't know whether you can get him on a federal charge for that, but he did it. I think the evidence is overwhelming that he did it. But I'd like to know if he derived, obviously, if he got money. But this impeachment hearing, this is not going to lead anywhere. All right, Schumer. So I wrote the message of the day. And again, we suggest that every morning go to BillO'Reilly.com, read the message of the day. It's free. You don't have to join. You don't have to be a member. And today I wrote about how Senator Chuck Schumer, the highest ranking Jewish American politician in the country, is being a proxy for Biden. So Schumer is attacking Netanyahu in Israel. We all know that. It's been widely reported. Schumer wants Netanyahu out of there, okay? So Biden's not saying it, but he's using Schumer to say it because that's what Chuck does, okay? First of all, here's what Chuck said. Go.
The former president's comments were utterly disgusting and a textbook example of the kind of anti-Semitism facing Jews, pushing the dangerous anti-Semitism trope of dual loyalty.
All right, so he attacks Trump because Trump is saying, if you vote for Biden, you American Jews, okay, you're hurting Israel. Okay? How can you say you support Israel and vote for Biden? That's what Trump is saying. So Schumer immediately gets on and says, oh, you're anti-Semitic. And then CNN, MSNBC, the network news, they all follow into line. It's just crazy. As I point out in the message, Trump was very, very helpful to Israel in his 4 years, moved the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem in homage to Israel's heritage. I mean, it's just insane. Some of Donald Trump's closest associates are Jewish. His son-in-law is Jewish. Now he's anti-Semitic. Schumer should be ashamed of himself on so many levels. I mean, it's just shameful how far. I used to have a decent relationship with him, but now he's just, This is not a partisan play either. If Biden wants to condemn Netanyahu, go ahead and do it. Don't hide behind Schumer. Now, here's a weird story on the other side. 9 House Republicans voted against a measure condemning Russia for abducting Ukrainian children. The measure says, and this is symbolic, it holds the government of the Russian Federation under the leadership of Vladimir Putin responsible for the wrongful and illegal kidnapping of children from Ukraine and officially condemns those actions in the strongest terms. That's a House resolution. Why would you vote against that? Why? Well, here are the people who did. Congressman Andy Biggs, Arizona, Eric Burleson, Missouri, Warren Davis in Ohio, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Georgia. Clay Higgins, Louisiana. Thomas Massey, Kentucky. Matt Rosendale, Montana. Chip Roy, Texas. Tom Tiffany, Wisconsin. Okay, so my staff contacted every single office. Everyone. Why'd you vote against it? Won't tell us. No public statements, no tweets, no Twitters, no Facebooks, whatever it is. So they just vote against it, and then they're disrespectful to people who call up and say, why? Oh, yeah. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation supports America's greatest heroes, U.S. service members, and first responders who gave their lives, those catastrophically injured in the line of duty, and homeless vets. The Foundation's Gold Star Fallen First Responder and Homeless Vet programs honor the sacrifices made by men who fought and died for us, and women who risked their lives for our country as well. The Foundation's Never Forget program engages people in 9/11 remembrances across America with more than 80 runs, walks, and dozens of golf outings every year. The Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute educates kids from kindergarten through 12th grade about America's darkest day, while helping our nation keep its vow to never forget. So please support Tunnel to Towers. Donate $11 a month. Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. More than 95 cents of every dollar you donate to Tunnel to Towers goes to its programs. That's T, the number 2, another T.org. All right, let's get to the mail. We got a Rachel Johnson in Phoenix, Arizona. Bill, I get that immigration can only be enforced by the federal government. States don't have the right to do that, but shouldn't they be able to protect their citizens? Can't understand why some states can protect sanctuary cities. Well, they're breaking the law if they do. But the federal government won't impose sanctions on those states. So if I'm president and Gavin Newsom says, I'm not going to enforce immigration law, federal law, I'm not telling my guys not to cooperate, I cut off as much federal money going to California as I can. That's what I do. Now, it's going to hurt the people in California, no doubt about it. And I wouldn't cut off children's and things like that, but I cut off a huge amount of money. You see how fast those sanctuary cities fall apart. But the other presidents, including Trump, didn't do it. Won't do it. Chantal Leffler, El Cajon, California. Hello, Bill O'Reilly. It might be the reason that President Biden is screaming and cursing is anonymous because the source would lose their job if they went public. Yeah, okay, Chantal, I understand that. But how can you verify what an anonymous source tells you? You can't. And they might lie. You can't report, you can report this is said, but you can't report it as fact. That's the point. Patricia Kalin, O'Fallon, Missouri. Don't you think it was rather appropriate of Peter Doocy, Fox News White House reporter, check out the truth of what his network was reporting by asking a question? I think as a journalist, they should check out the reality by asking a question, especially of the White House press secretary. I didn't mind the question that Doocy asked, but he didn't frame it properly because there's nobody teaching him. And that's true. He's a good reporter. I mean, he spent 3 months with me and he'd win a Pulitzer. You don't confront anyone on an anonymous source by saying or implying in your voice that it's true. You say, NBC News reports anonymously that the president is screaming and yelling at his staff because he doesn't like the poll numbers. What do you think of NBC's report? That's how you do it. You don't do it like, hey, he's screaming and yelling at his staff. I'm sure you get it. Ron Van Tool, Canton, Georgia. If the press and networks are engaging in purposeful propaganda and breaching the intent of the free press, can they be sued? only for defamation, and you'd have to prove malice, which would take years and millions of dollars, and you'd probably lose. That's what would happen. Kay Melivis, Rhinebeck, New York. I want to thank you, O'Reilly, for your comments on promoting adoption. I have 4 adopted family members, and I know the blessings they have brought into my life. You know, you would think that the federal government and states would promote adoption. Adopting a child is probably the most noble thing a responsible adult can do. I can't think of anything more noble. Do you ever hear anything about adoption? What? Crazy. It is really. Jimmy Demichel, Montreal, Canada. Hey, Bill, what's the difference between wealth tax and property taxes? So property taxes are local, and a lot of times they go to support your schools in your town. Okay, wealth is a federal or state tax where people would come into your home with a list and say you owe that much money on your Ferrari, even though you've already bought it and paid the tax on it, okay, sales tax. No, we want you to pay this much money on that. And that painting, you got to pay this much. That's confiscation. And if you don't, take it away from you. Communism. That's what they do. David Spano, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've been and will continue to be a daily follower of the No Spin News as a premium member. At your suggestion, I have endured myself with a great doctor. I have insured myself, the great doctor and financial planner, but I can't find a lawyer. It's not easy. Most of these lawyers, all they want is money. They don't care about you. Oh, our fees are... Okay. You got to go local, and you got to ask your friends, you know, and canvas. It's like intel. You got to do detective work. You'll find one. All right? But ask your friends and family and this and that, you know, who in the Pittsburgh area has done a good job for you and is relatable, and you go in and you talk to them. I know it's not easy. All right, BillO'Reilly.com store. We got the Self-Reliance mugs. They are sweeping the country now. We've explained how important self-reliance is. We did that yesterday. If you missed it, you can access it on BillO'Reilly.com. Particularly for younger people who don't even know what self-reliance is, they need to know. Confronting the Presidents will be out September 10th. This will be a very controversial book and a book that you will learn an enormous amount. You can pre-order now. You'll get it first if you do that. BillO'Reilly.com has it. We will not bill you until we ship it to you. Word of the day, no niding. New word. N-I-D-I-N-G. Simple word. No niding. When writing to me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. Name and town if you wish to opine. I don't see that name and town. Okay. Final thought about giving up on America in a moment. In a world where speaking your mind is under siege, I have just the thing for you. Freedom 2.0, the bottled water company that champions our voice. Freedom 2.0 is not your average beverage. It's a statement. I will not be silenced. Freedom 2.0 stands for the freedom to speak, the freedom to think, the freedom to live. Right now, our freedoms are under attack like never before in our lifetimes. You know that. But we should not go down without a fight. When you drink Freedom 2.0, you're sending a message. I will not be silenced. So please go to freedom20.com, use code BILL. Let's make it clear that we are proud of our American rights. So, what are you waiting for? Grab a bottle of Freedom 2.0 today. Join the movement. Use code BILL for 15% of your purchase at freedom20.com. By now, you have heard me talk about Delta Rescue. They are a fantastic organization that helps rescue animals from the wilderness. You know, I'm a dog lover, so is Leo Grillo, the founder of Delta Rescue. It is his life's mission to provide everlasting care for these once abandoned animals. I myself have donated to Delta Rescue. Do you believe it is part of man's duty to care for dogs and horses, the animals that so much of our history is tied to? If so, please consider making a donation or consult your advisor about leaving a gift in your will or trust. There can be some tax advantages, and it's a great way to help Delta Rescue accomplish their mission. So please visit deltarescue.org to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Here is the final thought of the day. So I got tons of mail going. It's hopeless. If Biden wins in November, we're all going to move to Costa Rica, whatever it may be. Okay. So I'm not an optimist so much as a realist. And when you read Confronting the Presidents, you'll see that we have had some very hard times in America. We have low, terrible leaders, population at each other's throats. This isn't new. But we've always emerged, all right, as the noble nation we set out to be. Always. And, you know, when you start in 1776 and it's now 2024, that's a pretty good track record. All right? We don't have any violent revolutions here. We don't have any of this. Assassinations, yeah. But I know that this country is never going to go down the drain. Now, I can't say that about my state, New York. I can't, because that's tottering right now. And if it goes any further left, the state will collapse. But the good people are going to try to get out, if they can, economically. But the federal government, it's bad now. It's corrupt all over the place. It needs a reformer. It needs somebody to come in. It needs a Ronald Reagan, some charismatic person who can rally most of the folks. You know, I think it'll happen. Not going to happen like that, but I think it will. And believe me, I know more about the history of this country than most people know. 13 killing books. All right, one of them was outside the country, Jesus, which, by the way, if you haven't read it, I got a letter, how can I see the movie? It's on pay-per-view. Just put, all you do is Google Killing Jesus, the movie, and boom, there it is. And you press a button and you got it. Can't be any easier. But with Easter coming up, Holy Week next week, I mean, you might want to zero in on that. And it's not boring and it's not religious. So you want to learn about it. But anyway, I know a lot about history. And when you read Confronting the Presidents, you're going to compliment me. Because Dugard and I, Martin Dugard, the co-author, I mean, we just right down, boom, no ideology at all. None. Republican and Democratic presidents are treated the same. The good, the bad, and the ugly. All right? I couldn't get Clint Eastwood in the book, but the overarch is that. So it's coming. I'll be on News Nation tonight with Chris Cuomo. That's always lively. I hope you're catching up with that. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.